Good afternoon and welcome to Cap Village. For those who may be meeting you for the first time, please introduce yourself. Tell us about your background, what inspired you to run for Orange County District 7 Commissioner, and the values that guide your campaign.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Shannon Currie. I am a longtime resident of Orange County and District 7 to be specific. I've lived in this community for 24 years of the 26 years that I've been here. And what brings me to this pivotal point in my life is that I have been serving in the community for quite a long time. Working on concerns that impact our daily lives, whether we are addressing food insecurities or housing crisis or health concerns. I've been doing the valuable work to help give us the quality of life that we're looking for. And so I'm running for Orange County Commissioner, District 7.
You spent nearly 2 decades serving Orange County as a community leader and trainer. What experiences have you best prepared you to serve as the first commissioner for the newly created District 7?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a journey. I began my career in public policy in 2004, and it was there that I truly gained the experience of understanding how policy impacts community in our daily lives. I found out how important it was to understand how to work with our governing body, what it means to a community to bring a budget back to help organizations support our residents. And it brings me to this day where I have continued in that vein of serving our community, whether it was addressing food insecurities or health disparities or removing barriers to learning. There have been so many initiatives that I have either launched or been a part of that I believe prepares me for this opportunity to be a commissioner for Orange County District 7.
Affordable housing continues to be one of the biggest concerns in Central Florida. What specific policies would you champion to help working families find and keep affordable housing without slowing responsible growth?
Yes, listen, our district is growing. It is inevitable. And housing is a great concern, not just even in our county, but nationwide. It's a huge concern that has a lot of attention on it. And what I will do as commissioner is work with my colleagues, because this is a countywide concern, and I will work and collaborate with my colleagues to identify and explore opportunities that will bring not just affordable housing, but attainable housing to our district, to ensure that we are addressing even our unhoused and our veterans, providing opportunity for our working families. I have learned that even our emergency response workers, our educators, those individuals that we're calling on are also struggling with housing. So I don't just look at it as affordable housing. I look at it as sustainable housing and attainable housing. I say that because there are tons of places where you can live. There are apartment buildings, almost on every corner it seems, but they're not sustainable. You may have one year, and then because of the rising cost and inflation, now you're having to relocate. And I want to find ways to remove that from happening. And I know that also a way that we can address that is increasing wages as well. So there are a few things that we have to explore and we have to work together on, that we can not just address that issue, but some of the other issues that follow along with that.
District 7 includes diverse communities such as Pine Hills, Eatonville, Maitland, and surrounding neighborhoods, each with unique needs. How would you ensure every community has an equal voice at the county level?
You said it about equal voice. Equity is really important here, and the way that we can achieve that is by listening. And that is something that I will bring, is a listening ear, and not listening just to come up with a solution, but to learn and understand what each beautiful, unique community is asking for, and finding out what are the commonalities, what are some things that they have in common that they are concerned about that we can address. So these beautiful communities, we want to keep the integrity of them, but the first step has to be not just to show up, but show up and listen, and be willing to sit at the table with the community stakeholders, with the leaders, and break down what their concerns are, and then work a smart plan to start moving forward towards implementation.
Public safety is a major priority for many residents. Beyond increasing law enforcement resources, what community-based strategies would you support to make neighborhoods safer?
Just this morning, I attended an event at the Central Florida Urban League that was hosted by student interns. And that was one of the topics that they talked to us about and provided some solution. And building trust. Building trust is super, super important when you're talking about, law enforcement and public safety. And one of the points that they made is that they really encouraged, they gave us a perspective, the perspective from law enforcement and then the perspective from resident. And not only did they bring forth the suggestion of listening, but also for law enforcement to not respond to calls as a means to solve a problem, but to respond to calls to provide support and help. And so as we work on building trust with our communities, there are some things that we can also work on, where finding opportunity for our younger generation, our Gen Z, if we can call it that, but identifying opportunities, building relationships so that as you develop or strengthen relationships with residents and law enforcement, you are also addressing public safety. You're also addressing the integrity of the neighborhood. You're also addressing, having a safe place to live, to work, to play. And that has to be the ultimate goal, is to not so much focus on increasing the presence of law enforcement, but increasing the development, increasing the relationship that law enforcement has with community, and that would be a focus of mine.
Economic opportunity is one of the pillars of your campaign. What steps would you take to help small businesses, entrepreneurs, and local workers thrive within District 7?
Yes. One way that you can strengthen community is supporting small businesses and providing opportunities for that. We would love to keep building the neighborhood, and when you are supporting small businesses, that's a way to do that. I know that it's really important to share information that comes through our governing body of funding, resources. I think it's important to provide support, a strong support network for our business owners and our growing entrepreneurs, to let them understand what their gifts and talents are, and then how to build sustainable businesses, how to budget their money, how to identify what resources they're even going to provide to the community. So I believe that education, mentorship, apprenticeship, and just that common practice of just sharing information and how to would be important in helping support our small business in our communities.
As Orange County continues to experience rapid population growth, how do you balance new development with protecting existing neighborhoods, green spaces, and infrastructure?
I believe in smart growth. As I said earlier, we are growing. We are growing. There's no denying that. But it has to be done in a smart way. And that's really important. We have to ensure that our growth isn't outpacing our infrastructure. We also, it's so important to protect our green space. And here's why this is important, because that protects our environment. When you have so much concrete, buildings everywhere, you create these heat islands, and it makes it hotter, than places that have more greenery and more foliage. And then also, it protects, when we protect our environment, it also provides protection in inclement weather when you consider where's the water going to run off to. We don't want it to run off into the streets, or pavement. We want it to be absorbed in our ground. So as our economy grows, or as development grows, I am focused on smart growth. I am focused on making sure that we communicate with our community so that they understand what's coming. We make sure that we are protecting the integrity of our neighborhoods, because they deserve the respect and the quality of life. And then when I speak to community residents, especially those that have, been there 20, 30 years, and they see the new houses being built, they see the new buildings going up, and they worry about their quality of life and just the how their neighborhoods will begin to look. And I think it's important that we engage the voice of the community, make them aware, and not build to push them out, but build in a way that it makes sense and it benefits everyone. And so I will focus on challenging development to make sure that it is done in a smart and feasible way.
Many residents feel disconnected from local government. If elected, what would you do differently to ensure your office remains transparent, accessible, and responsive to constituents?
Thank you for that. Follow through. So often when you go into neighborhoods and they're fed up with, government and their governmental leaders, they feel oftentimes that promises have not been kept. Doing a wonderful thing one time is just not enough. We're looking for consistency, and that is something that I will bring to the table. Is I will bring to my community consistency, not just show up to meetings and give updates, but the opportunity to really discuss, what the needs are, or what activities are getting ready to happen in support of the well-being of communities. But continue doing it in a consistent way. Being forthcoming, again, is super important to build trust. And so our communities are wanting to know, can I trust you? And I'm here to tell you that trust is not just something to ask for, but it's something that is earned. And I am willing to do whatever it takes to earn your trust so that we can restore relationship with our governing body and our community, and we can be consistent in following, not just following up, but following through. And that is my commitment in this role.
Youth development has become an increasingly important issue throughout Orange County. What role should the county play in expanding after-school programs, workforce development, and mentorship opportunities for young people?
Yeah, the answer is in the question. There are already a lot of after-school programs. I think it's super important to work with our schools and work with those organizations who are already doing the work. There is amazing work being done in all of our communities. It's identifying who those organizations are, what they're doing, what the need of. There are a lot of youth, and so finding something for everyone may be a challenge, but there is something. I think that we should increase apprenticeship opportunities. I think that we should work with our schools for those who are school level. We have community partnership schools that provide amazing resources for our youth and our families. I think that we should work on opportunities of internships. When we expose our youth to different things, it just creates their viewpoint and their outlook on life and gives them something to look forward to. And so I believe that we should communicate the opportunities that already exist, support them as we look for ways to bring in new things that will, provide resources to our youth. When you address that or make efforts to address that, you are also building public safety. You're also impacting safe neighborhoods. You're also building trust because our youth, they are our future. They're our next generation of leaders. And so it is a priority for us to do what it takes to make sure that they are exposed, equipped, and provided the resources that they need.
What were your top 3 priorities during your first term in office? And how would you measure success for District 7 residents over the next 4 years?
Thank you. Measuring success, I believe in SMART goals. I do. Affordability is the hot topic. It is. And so I will be spending a lot of time addressing, what that looks like for our district and countywide, because I will work with my colleagues to address those things. So affordability, how do we address housing insecurity? How do we support the unhoused? We have our homeless our homeless population. We have veterans who are in need of support, not just housing, but they're in need of health support as well. And so I will address housing. The other, as we are growing and economic development is booming in our county and in District 7, infrastructure. With new buildings happening and us growing the way that we are, traffic is getting hit big time, and congestion is causing a lot of concerns for travelers. So we want to look for ways of decreasing travel time. We want to look for ways of decreasing the occurrence of bottleneck traffic where it should take you 15 minutes to get from point A to point B, but because of congestion, that may be 30 to 45 minutes. And so looking at our infrastructure is another important process, and then also addressing our stormwater and our water flow. And then looking at our environment. I'm really passionate about environmental justice, so I will also make that a part of my priorities.
What sets you apart from other candidates seeking to represent District 7, and why should voters trust you to be their voice on the Orange County Commission?
Yeah, like I said, trust is earned, and I'm willing to put in the work to earn your trust. That is my commitment. I tell you what sets me apart is the experience. I believe that the legislative experience that I bring, I served 2 terms as a senior staff at the Florida Senate, and there I learned intrinsically how the process works. I learned the importance, regardless of your party affiliation, how you have to take the voice of the community and truly advocate for them, sometimes becoming an activist for them. And so I am bringing that experience, also my experience as a senior nonprofit leader, having worked on real life issues that our residents have faced. Again, I mentioned whether it's maternal health, whether it's health disparities, whether it's food insecurities, whether it's removing barriers to learning, not to go down my resume, but I have the experience, years and years of experience to lean on that truly that we are benefiting from even to this day. So the legislative experience, the policy making experience, and then truly bringing in resources that benefit and impact our community, I am bringing that to this opportunity, and I'm going to lean on that. And just my desire to serve our community to help me have a successful service to District 7.
We thank you for taking the time to visit us here at Cap Village, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it.